We're going to make some veal cordon bleu. A little bit different than the traditional way, which uses ham, but I'm tired of having it like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some cooked bacon inside there with the Swiss cheese. And also, if you see the color of that veal, this is not as white. This is not bleu.The, but it's pretty good. This is supermarket veal. So if you want really tender, delicious veal, try to find a butcher that has bleu.The. It's much whiter looking than this. But this is passable. And we're going to finish it off with a little tomato sauce underneath. I'm using panko breadcrumbs. We're going to flour this we're going to bread this the traditional way. Flour, egg, breadcrumbs. Saute it in a little butter with olive oil. But the bacon is my idea, and I think it's a good one. I'm going to cook the bacon, dice it up a little, sprinkle it in there, put the cheese, put the 2 pieces of veal, bread it, and with the sauce at the end, I like tomato sauce with this. But you can have half tomato sauce and half like Espanol sauce, and flavored with a little sherry at the very end. But I'm going to deglaze the pan with sherry wine anyway. So let's begin. The difficult part, like when you buy it in usually they cut it the same way all the time, but we're dealing with pieces like that. So that's what we have to live with. That'll make one, and these 2 will make another, but I'm only going to make one. Well, while I'm working on this, I'm hungry. So what I did, I took one of my biscuits that I made, took it out of the freezer. I'll put some Swiss cheese and take this bacon and have myself a nice little sandwich while I'm working. Anyway, we have to season the veal. No. A little pepper. And I'm using a little oregano. You can use basil. You don't have to use anything. But since a little tomato sauce, let it taste this way. And also some sea salt. And then the larger piece, the wider piece I should say, will be the bottom piece. It'll just be easier to handle. I diced up the bacon, and after looking at it, 2 slices is way too much. I don't want the dominant flavor to be bacon in this. I want it to be veal. So I'm just using 1 slice. Just spread the bacon evenly. Take the cheese. Try to keep the cheese well within the veal, not to be hanging out, or we'll lose it. So just tear pieces, put it in there. Trust me, it's going to spread. This is a great item. You just have to be a little careful the way you handle it. And then put this piece on top, like so. And we are going to very carefully bread this. Now we'll bread the veal. Nice and easy. Just put it in the flour, just like you're breading anything else. And I don't want to turn it over, so I'll just get the flour on top. And then shake it a little. You don't want to lose any of the, and you don't want to have clumps of flour on there either. Then into the egg. And then into the breadcrumbs, where I put fresh parsley, because when you saute it, it just looks great. Now, wash your hands and dry your hands first before going into the breadcrumbs, or you'll just be sticky all over. And your fingers will be full of breadcrumbs, and the item won't come out nice. So I just shake it a little, bring the breadcrumbs up. Now you know you're going to have leftover breadcrumbs, but you don't have to throw them out. What I do, I put them in the freezer immediately. Even though they had a raw product on it, as soon as it freezes, there's no bacteria that's going to grow. But if you're afraid to do that, don't do it. I've never killed anybody and I'm still alive. And you can even go from this way into fish. But if you went from fish to meat, you could pick up the flavor of the fish. And that's it. The breading is done. Just shake it lightly, because that's a lot of breadcrumbs. But if you don't mind throwing it out, throw it out. The next step is we're going to saute that in oil. Okay, so we have a moderate flame. Yeah, that's moderate. I put the oil in first, olive oil. This breadcrumb is going to absorb a lot of the oil. And then the butter. And you put in the olive oil first. It's not that the butter is going to brown, but it's just the step that I do. That step first and then the butter. And as soon as that looks hot enough, we're going to place the veal right in there. You could use just straight butter or straight olive oil. If you use straight butter, most likely it'll brown on you and give you that nutty flavor. But that's up to the individual. If they like that, that's fine. And the breadcrumbs will have a little different color than if done this way. So that's fine. It doesn't take long to cook veal, and you don't want to overcook it. And we're just going to run the film to show you the exact amount of time it takes to cook this. Now that flame is a little bit too low, so just raise it a little. That's good. Right behind that is the tomato sauce. And I'm going to get a drop of sherry. Ready. But what I don't want is all that butter and oil for the sauce. So as soon as the veal is done, I'll take the veal off, put it on the plate, put some sherry into the skillet, put the veal back in, just turn it over once and get that sherry flavor in there. Or if you want to use white wine, that's fine. This smells good. And you can tell when it's time to turn the edges, you should see a little golden brown color on the edge. We're starting to get a little right there. Remember, you don't have to overcook veal. It doesn't have to be eaten well done. It could be slightly pink. And if it was bleu.The, which when I'm at work we have, it just takes no time to cook. And it's very tender, more so than this. See the color? I'm seeing brown, so I'm going to turn it. And if I'm right, I'm going to tilt the pan towards you and flip. It only takes one time to turn. That is good. I like that color. And see with the fresh parsley in there? Gives it a great look, which is very important when you're dealing with food, presentation. If it looks good, it's probably going to taste good. Now that's gotten real hot, so we'll just lower it just a little bit. Quite a bit. You notice how it's smoking? And when you're using a sherry, use a decent sherry, not a cheap bottle. Let's just say if a cheap bottle costs $5, go for a $15 bottle. It's going to last you forever. I'm sure you don't drink sherry every day, so you can't think about being cheap when it comes to cooking with wine. This is done. Notice. Okay, so we'll take this. See, it's firm, not wobbly. I'm going to pour this off. At least most of it. Put a little sherry in there. Put that back in there. Soak it in on one side. Get it in on the other. Just raise the flame so it's all reduced and absorbed into the veal. You do the same thing with white wine. Take a little tomato sauce. You can make this ahead of time. If you're having 4, 5, 6 people over, make it ahead of time, like this. Put it on a platter. Heat it up in the oven or the microwave. Preferably the oven because it's a drier, it just heats up better. So there we go. We are done with a beautiful piece of veal right on the tomato sauce. Like I always do, Neil. I'm going to taste the piece. I waited about a minute or two. I can't handle really hot food. So let's see how it looks. If I turn the knife this way, it'll work better? I think so. See? Veal is cooked. The bacon's in there. And please don't burn my mouth. Mmm. The celery wine got in there, and I love this with tomato sauce. You know what? That little bit of bacon, it's just in there. It's not overpowering the veal. And if anybody says, are you crazy using bacon? Well, you know what? You can do whatever you want in cooking. If you don't want to use the bacon, use the traditional way of a piece of ham. And you don't have to use Swiss cheese either. I have to save half of this for my wife. That's how long it takes to cook. Enjoy.